now, right?
Yeah, sure.
1, 2, 3. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. This time we've got another guest on. And before I begin on to the whole conversation, I'd like to say thank you for everyone to just jump in, give us reviews, and the great thing about it is that you guys are liking the guest that we are bringing on. This time we've got on a old friend of mine. We went middle school together, we went high school together, we went uni together. So we're going to have a great conversation about, reflecting and learning from experience. So I hope you guys can join in on that. Now without further ado, we'll get into it. So I'll give the floor to Hasnan, that's his name, to introduce himself, I guess.
Hey guys, so as you said, Hasnan, so you can call me Hus. It's a lot easier. I go by that at work. Born and bred Darwin, essentially, and that's all there is to it for now.
Simple.
10 out of 10. So
nice and simple.
I guess I gave you a call before, and I was like, this is how we run the show. We kind of call you on and then ask you what you wanted to talk about. So I'm going to let you continue on and start off with that, what you wanted to talk about, what we discussed over the phone, and you let the audience know how we're going to be moving forward, and then we'll start the conversation.
Yeah, perfect. So obviously we talked about self-reflection from the start. So there was 3 different areas that we actually linked into. So the first one I actually kind of forgot.
So started off with your experience, right? Which was you walking into your work.
Oh, yeah, fantastic.
So I guess it started off with you walking into work, wanting to impress people, wanting to do your best.
Yeah.
And then I guess in that experience you were reflecting. And so that reflection led to other things. I guess, just elaborate a little on that kind of thing. So I'll just start you off a bit.
No, so a bit of background on that. So I actually work for a company known as KPMG, so worldwide.
Very successful man.
No,
that was a confidential information he said.
Not yet. Hopefully in the future we'll be successful. Really just starting out. So KPMG is one of the big 4 firms, and obviously going into that as a regular intern that was meant to be for 5 weeks, you are a bit, frightened, I would say, as you walk in there and you're like, okay, cool, this is one of the biggest firms you can get into. You got to make a good impression. You want to make a lasting impression because you're still in uni, and this is the best time to actually make connections. Obviously you get you got to make a name for yourself.
Yeah.
And so I went in the day one expecting, the worst, as in there's going to be a lot of responsibilities, there's going to be a lot of importance on the roles that I've been given, and this is something you cannot mess up. And you walk in there and you're like, okay, say hello to everyone. And the first day was just fantastic. I walk in, everyone's all smiles, everyone's very friendly, and I would say it's complete opposite to what I actually had thought going in, that these guys will be proper professionals, down and just to the teeth, to the total line.
Yeah.
And not to say that they're not, but they're also people first and foremost, and they're very friendly and very encouraging. So I went in there, not knowing what to expect, and I was very pleasantly surprised. Everyone was straightforward, and on my first day I started a new an audit, so I was actually thrown into the deep end straight away. Any question that I had, they were just like, ask, and we can help you. And obviously my initial thoughts were, hey, you got to know everything. You got to be able to make sure you know what you're talking about. And I went in there, I was like, okay, so this is a lot different to what I'm used to. What they teach you in uni is how to memorize things and everything else. But in the real world, you have a team. You have people around you that will obviously be there to help you when you need it.
And you have Google as well.
You have Google as well.
Yeah. And
it's not frowned upon. So at uni, you're by yourself most of the time. Exams, assignments, they put a big emphasis on plagiarism. You got to make sure your work is your own. But in the real world, your work is not your own. You're actually working as part of the team.
Yeah.
And that's one of the main things I actually learned straight up is you got to make sure you are part of the team.
Yeah. And
that's where I was self-reflecting a bit as well. I was like, wow, okay, this is very different to what I was expecting. I walked in there.
It's because you're not used to that environment. You're used to an environment where you either know it or you don't.
Exactly
And if you
right.
don't know it, you're out of the door. You're failing your exams, and and that's what they teach you. You have to
Exactly
know
right.
it all.
Yeah, exactly
Yeah.
right. And that mindset is, not the best mindset, I would
Yeah.
say, is you to think that you know it all, you're going to put yourself in a position where you will fail eventually. And
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
not what you want. You want to
Yeah.
be successful. And that's where it comes into that it's okay to ask for help.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is no matter what it is, family, life, relationships, even work, everything can always be tied back to asking for help.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's one of the main lessons you actually will need to learn growing up is you don't have to do things yourself.
That's true.
Not at all.
That's actually very important, and I think lots of people don't understand that. They feel like, we've talked about this in other podcasts.
Yeah.
They feel like I shouldn't ask for help. I shouldn't talk to other people because I don't want to burden them with my problems, right? But the real reality is we all need each other, right? Like Raven talked about it last time. Why I think I said something about animals, or how animals are in packs and they all have a role. And I think us too, we all have a role, but we have to work together. The whole human, I guess, species, if they work together, they can achieve milestones, right?
Yeah, of course.
But to walk in life thinking this is your battle, yourself, you have to deal with your problems, and no one else will help you. It's just a pathway to failure. It's just a pathway where you're just gonna just give up.
Yeah.
I think the problem here, though, for you, right, was the fact that it's okay. I feel like if you were in like an environment which you were used to, I feel like you would have like found it easier. But I guess the reason why you found it hard was because not hard, but more like
What do you find hard?
not hard. Okay.
He said he liked it.
Yeah, no. What I'm trying to say is like uncomfortable. Like not uncomfortable. You know how you said basically
Not expecting it.
Okay.
Unexpected situation.
That's the word. Okay, that's the word. Okay.
Very difficult.
But the reason why is because it's like a brand new environment.
yeah,
right?
yeah, like
Whole new-
it pull you off.
Exactly, a whole new group of people. You don't know them. They don't know you, so you don't know what to expect.
Yeah.
And I guess that's the reason where it came in like that. With the fear factor.
Fear factor.
Yeah.
There was no fear there.
No.
He walked in with an expectation, thinking that I have to know it all, or I don't. Right? I have to impress, and to impress, you should know your theory. 4 years in uni or 5 years in uni, I have to know my stuff.
And
If they ask me a basic question, I can't be like,
I don't know.
1 + 1 is 3. And,
Exactly right.
So there is this expectation, I guess, when you walk into a new place, especially as an employee, you want to impress people. I chucked that out of the door when I walked in. I got employed at my engineering firm, right? And a lot of people, because they're just, I guess, trying to impress people, they end up becoming a bit fake to themselves and that environment that they're in. I walked in there being me, knowing that I don't know everything, knowing the only thing I know is copy paste, right? And I walked in there just me, happy, all good, nothing can go wrong, and that led to people understanding this person's authentic, this person's happy, that this is who he is, right? And he's happy to learn. And because I did that, the higher ups became best friends with me. I go gym with the general manager there. And that's what happens when you're just yourself. When you understand you don't know everything, and you be yourself at all times. And I think a lot of people fail to understand that when you start to, I guess, try to impress other people, you somewhat lose a part of yourself somewhere. You because you're just trying to impress. You should be working to impress yourself every day. I should do better, but not for someone else. Not for the fact that someone else will appreciate me growing. It should be solely for you, and for what you want to achieve in life. And I think it all starts with reflecting, right? You walking into that thing, you walking into the environment, you not knowing what to do. Some people could get thrown off by it. Some people could start thinking, surely it's not all fun and games. Surely that they're going to expect something, even though they're all happy, I have to impress still. Some people can see it like that. But the thing where you stand there is that you reflected. You realize that I don't know everything. And after you realized those things, you reflected upon that experience, you ended up growing a bit. You ended up thinking, I can always grow. And that should always, I guess, be the case where you're always trying to grow. And I think we can turn back pages and every mistake that we've made or overcome, the moment you reflect upon those mistakes and you think about them, there's always a lesson to be learnt there. There's always something that you can grow from. And I don't think there's ever going to be a point in our life, whether you're 70, whether you're 80, whether you're on your deathbed, that you can't learn something new. Because you just can't know everything. Otherwise you're God.
Yeah.
Right? So that's what I think. But how else would you say stuff like that has happened, where you've been put, you walk into something expecting something else and you get something else out of it? And how do you, I guess, cope with walking into something with an expectation and not getting that? How do you cope with that, even if it is an unexpected and it's a negative experience?
Because this one was good, right? You went in there expecting them to be all serious, or like, go do this right now. And when then you say, oh, I don't know this, they're like, okay, get out of here. Like, that's what you expected, right?
Yeah.
But then when you went in there, really friendly, they helped you out, it was a team, everything like that, right?
Yeah.
Now, that was good.
That's a good experience.
But I'm just wondering, would you know how to handle it if it was like the other way around, like exactly like how you thought it would be?
Where you and let's say if it was even worse, where because you're a Muslim, right? You're considered a Pakistani, not an Indian, not Indian, not Australian, right? Let's just say you're not a white fella, you're not a white fella. So imagine if the people that hired you were, let's just say, somewhat racist, somewhat bigots, and they bullied you, and the expectation you walking in there was completely different. Now, how would you react to that? Would you let people bully you? Would you let people, I guess, push you down? Would you just fake it till you make it to the top? What would your, I guess, perception towards that be? Because I think us being in Darwin, we're somewhat privileged because we're not exposed to that kind of environment, where people with beards, people that are Muslims, people that are from outside Australia are treated differently. I'm fairly lucky in that, I think we are, but the moment you step outside of Darwin, a person wearing a hijab, or a person wearing something different, or a person looking a bit different is just frowned upon.
Yeah.
No, I'll just say one thing as well, right? I'll just give you like a bit of an example. It's not like the worst thing that can happen, right? But, okay, so I'm not going to say where I worked, right? I used to work at this place, and
he used to be a telescope caller.
No.
Hello, can I help you? My name's David.
But I used to work at this fast food place, right? And so when I went in there, I wasn't expecting much. I was like, okay, this is the type of place they are. I've been in this place before. So I thought, okay, all my job description is just to go in there and just do this, right? But in the end, I found out that my managers and even the owner, basically, they kind of like stuffed us a bit, right? So they didn't want to pay us sometimes, right? And so what they would do, and they literally kind of bullied us. So one time we got a pay rise. Now the pay rise was pretty good, right? And so what they did afterwards is they basically they literally forced us to like sign a contract, whatever, putting us onto part-time. And if we didn't go part-time, then they'll just stop giving us hours, right? So they're kind of like, all right, it's either you sign this and you get work, or you don't sign this.
And part-timers don't get as much money, right? They don't get that. They don't get that thing.
It went. They literally like, so our pay was like this. It went up to here. When part-time went even back under.
Yeah, 100%. And that's the thing with casual is you get these requirements because you don't actually have your leave, your annual, and everything else.
Right, and they kind of like they bullied us
into becoming part-time.
Yeah, they literally were like they kind of like, hey, if you either you sign this, you get work. You don't sign this, you don't get any work. So some people didn't sign it. I saw them maybe once a month, right? Literally, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, so in a way, that was like a negative experience from my workplace, which I didn't expect. Plus, they treated us like animals in a way, where they're literally, okay. So one time as well, let's say I was I was delivering some food one time as well, right?
Just say
and I was on a scooter, right?
Very confidential stuff.
No, I just don't
not confidential.
Not confidential.
CIA
I just
agents.
don't want to.
He's trash talking.
I don't want to trash talk, right? The thing is, the people themselves were pretty good, right? But sometimes like they kind of forced us to do stuff. So one time it was raining, right? And it was, so it was. I
Your
think
managers listening to this.
I don't know. Who cares? It was
Let me
basically.
text them right quick.
No, I'm sorry, brother. It was basically like just like so close to being a cyclone. Like literally, like the weather was like so close to being a cyclone, and they still made us go out in the rain on our scooters. So these on a scooter which only goes like 60 km per hour, max speed, right?
Yeah.
And it's raining. Winds are so heavy that like they're blowing trees. Trees are falling down. Like, I forgot which one it was.
Cyclone Tracy. This is that time.
No, it was literally so bad.
Yeah.
And they made us deliver pizzas in that weather.
Yeah.
They literally like, you can either deliver or you get fired. So I still need the money. So I did it. But hey, look, that like I said, it's.
He's a lawyer, right? He down the line, just sue the company. This is what they did.
No, so that's like another thing where I guess I wasn't expecting to do any of this when I went into that job, right? In the end, I had to do it. It wasn't the best of circumstances, but I did it anyway.
Yeah.
So, do you have anything similar to that, or how would you handle it if you had?
I guess the question is just, when you get treated differently, or when we're not treated.
When you're being abused. Right?
Yeah, when you're being abused.
abused.
When you walk into an environment expecting something different,
Yeah.
expecting to be treated with respect, and you're not. Because I think that happens. We can change the conversation to reflecting and self-growth to just, I guess, working in an environment where you're because I guess, let's just take my other job, for example. For a period, managers would, I guess, tell you doing something wrong. Tell you that you're doing things wrong, and I guess sometimes disrespect you, right? And you're supposed to be treated equally. You're supposed to be treated with respect, and you're not getting that. So a lot of people find it difficult to deal with people like that don't have leadership qualities, that don't have those kind of skills to deal with people, but they've been placed in roles that are managing leaders and all of that stuff, but they don't know how to do their job.
Yeah.
So when, let's say, I walk into that kind of an environment, I want to be treated with respect. I want to know what I'm doing. I want to, I guess, love my job because, I'm doing my job because I like it.
Yeah.
Some people. But you want to, I guess, enjoy that environment. But if the people that are helping you out and leading you and are your managers, if they're treating you with not the respect that you deserve, how do you deal with that? What do you reckon? What's your views on that?
Well, my view. Okay, so in the past, several years ago, when I was actually in Store High School and whatnot, I have had many jobs. I've been working since I was, I think, 14 or 15.
Successful guy.
Nah, not even that.
Billionaire.
I just liked money and loved spending that money. And in the past, yes, I've being a very skinny brown kid back in the day as well, is you have a quiet voice.
We're on the same plane.
We're on the same plane. We actually had beef when we first met. We had beef when we were young. When we were 12.
It was good stuff. I still remember that. But we can talk about this some other time. It was a fun time.
It was a fun time. Let's just leave it at that. Obviously,
Michael Arrow listens in.
Yeah, Michael. Shout out, Michael. What up?
Wait, what was the beef about? Was that?
This is like
This was back in the day.
Pakistani Indian type
Oh,
thing.
back in those.
Back in those days. This was like when we were 12, 13 years old.
Okay,
Nothing
okay.
but kids, and
This is like real young.
we were young. It was
I
fun.
hate you.
It was funny though. No. So obviously, being very back in those days, it was a lot harder for us to actually get a voice, I would say, so to speak, because racism was still alive quite back in the day. And not to say that my employers were racist, but there was a lack of mutual respect in certain aspects, obviously. And being someone who's young as 15 or 14, they have life experience, and they're using that as a thought to go, okay, or this kid doesn't know how to react or everything else. So obviously there was some times in the past where I've actually been discouraged to show to work. I would call in sick the same day and say, hey, look, I just can't come in. A large part of that was obviously because of the toxic culture and everything else, and I don't like putting myself in places where it's toxic.
I think that's with everyone.
It's exactly right.
People don't like a toxic environment.
No one likes a toxic environment.
Sometimes you're born and bred into that, or sometimes you feel like you're forced into that environment.
Yeah.
Sometimes like I need the money, so regardless of I'll do whatever I don't like doing, but I'll do it anyway, just because I need to. But yeah, continue. Sorry.
And in that aspect, as in growing up, I've had a very good I've been very fortunate to have a fantastic growing up. My family's been incredibly supportive. Obviously, whenever I wasn't working, my family did provide everything else. My sisters, my brothers, whenever I needed money as a kid, I always used to get it whenever I was in need. And that's something I'm, very fortunate to have. But I always did want to work. So I've had multiple jobs growing up, and I'm very fortunate that I wasn't actually thrown into any negative environments except for when I was, I think, at my very first job. It was actually quite bad. But then again, I was very young, so I don't know how to handle that situation at the time. I just showed up, or even called in sick the days that I did not want to go to work, simply because of just how people were getting treated. And that's the main thing these days. And like in my current role, I've got no toxic elements present at all. And I'm not just saying it because I'm working still. It's just saying that, as in, that's the honest truth. Is I'm very fortunate to have a fantastic team that's supportive of everything I do. As in, when I'm studying, this initial role is supposed to be for 5 weeks, and that ties into the whole you must know everything, because that 5 weeks is what you have to try to impress these people. Is if you want to continue working for these guys, you got these 5 weeks as an intern to show what you're made of. And I went in there and said, okay, cool. And then day one, it all snapped around. They were friendly. They were people like us. I can talk. I've got fantastic relationships with the partners of the office, the directors. One of my partners, he actually moved to Brisbane. We still communicate. We text each other. We call.
Yeah, he told me about that.
And
very good.
He's a fantastic gentleman. Obviously, he's been a great leader, of course. And obviously, I would definitely love to see him again when he comes back. But because of him, he was very supportive of just saying, Huss, you need to finish your uni, take all the time that you need, work part-time with us because we still want you on board. So while I'm studying and trying to finish my exams, these guys gave me countless days of leave. They were very, supportive. Say, okay, I need some time off. Take as much time as you need. And that's fantastic in a way. So in terms of negative experiences in the workforce, I would not say I've had many. But these days, if I am thrown into a spot where it is negative, I will definitely speak out, because that's something I've also self-reflected on, is you can't let people walk all over you, because then it becomes a habit and it becomes something that happens on a daily basis. Is you need to have your own voice. You can't just let people make you feel any less than what you are as a person.
True. Yeah.
And obviously, if anything is happened, is money isn't everything. The most important thing in life is not money. It's if you chase after money, it's not going to end well, because money at the end of the day will come and go. But your mental health, first and foremost, is what you should be looking after. And if anyone listening right now is going through it, I would suggest just make sure you know how to pull yourself out of that situation. Make sure you don't take... I almost cussed on this live podcast, I'm sorry. Don't take any grief from anyone that you shouldn't be taking.
I think, we'll bring it back to the first point, right? It's at the start, when you're in a position where, you're not expecting something, whether it's a negative experience or a positive experience, the reflection that you need to have there is, first of all, learn to reflect, which is just think about your situation. Because, I wrote down a quote that was from John, I don't know how to say his last name, but Dewey, however it's said. But the quote is, we don't learn from our experience, we learn from reflecting on our experiences. So when you're having a negative experience and you don't like that experience, learn to reflect upon it.
Yeah.
When you reflect upon that experience, it helps you learn from the mistakes that you've probably made. It gives you different ideas to, I guess, solve that problem, whatever problem you're in. And in a sense, when you reflect upon things, you can just step back. That's essentially it. When reflection is a step back to think what you're in, what position you're in. Do you like it? No. Why not? What can I do to change it? If I can't do anything to change it because the people that I work with is bad, leave the job, man. Like, even if you need the money, I guess I'm not gonna say leave the job, but there's always a way to go about it. There's always a higher up. Contact someone else.
Exactly. We have unions and stuff.
And another thing is also to, like you said, you don't know everything. Seek help.
Yeah.
Right. Ask your friends. Ask your family. I'm in this position. I do not know what to do. And that's what I think the beauty of life is. I said this last podcast where we're all sitting at a test. We're all facing our own trials and tribulations. Your test, his test, and my test. We're in the same exam room, but our question papers are very different.
Yeah.
But the beauty about this life is that I can ask you to say, hey man, I'm on this question, I don't know how to answer it. Do you know where I can go? Do you know what I can do here? And that's what I think life should be, where when I don't know what to do, I can reach out to the person next to me and say, hey, what do I do? I can reach out to Sheikh Google, or, you know, or wherever I can find inspiration or wisdom from, I can go there, whether it's in... Because people think that, let's say I'm a Muslim, right?
Yeah.
People think that the only wisdom and inspiration I can get is from my book, which is the Quran, which is the scholars that are in my religion, and those are the people that can only help me. But the reality is, there's wisdom in Buddhism, there's wisdom in Hinduism, there's wisdom in Christianity, there's wisdom in every faith, there's wisdom with everyone. But we have to be open-minded in understanding that we don't have all the answers, and neither do the people around us. But we have to seek those answers to solve our own problems and our own question paper, right? So when my message to whoever is in a bad position and they don't know what to do is reflect first. Think about if you can solve it by yourself. And to solve it by yourself, ask other people. Step back and understand that you don't know everything. And if people listening to this podcast this week, that's something that I think lots of people should understand. It's just to understand they don't know everything. They will never know everything. To reflect, to stop back and think what we can do and ask for help, right? And whether it's for work, whether it's in family, whether it's, self-doubt, depression, all of that stuff, help is always right next to you. Like my friend is right next to me, and he's not doing that stuff. I'm not talking to you, right? Like then he's not your friend. If you have friends like that, they're not your friends.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the reality of things. To know that help is always there. I'm talking a lot. But
No. But I'm gonna say that the thing that stops a lot of people from being able to like speak out and say, oh, okay, I don't know this, whatever. I'd say it's pride, right? It's also the fact that you don't want people to
pride of judgment.
Yeah, that as well. Like you don't want people to look down on you.
There's a stigma around it. Is it's not okay to talk. And people say, okay,
yeah,
they look down on you, and
it's a subconscious thing, right?
It's
I don't think it's people tell you it's not okay to talk. It's just subconscious. It's, for some reason it's built into you somewhere, where your problems are yours. You don't need to tell someone else about your problems.
Exactly right.
I think it's just built into you, where you just want to show people you're doing fine. There's no problems with you at all. But
and that's also the thing with there's memes on Facebook, and then like Instagram versus real life is we want to show people that our life is perfect.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, exactly.
And we sit there and obviously we get the perfect angle, this and this and that. Obviously, no one's perfect.
Exactly.
Everyone's fighting their inner battles, inner demons. We have no idea. I'm not too sure what you're going through, or even you could be going through something that we don't know about. And obviously, whether you share
hates his hairline.
Yeah,
just like,
receding. It's all going.
I cuss myself every night.
Next day, he's just gonna get a clippers and just take it off.
I don't like my hair.
I'm gonna go look like the Rocks.
The thing is, right? People have those kinds of experiences.
Exactly, and everyone's fighting a different battle.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to cut you off just then. No. It's and that whole self-reflecting and opening up is something that people need to be doing more of, I would say.
100%.
But I think that's like the hardest thing to do. I'd say is to basically say, yep, I don't know this. Can somebody help me? That I would say is the hardest thing, because then you feel like, okay, this, like, everyone's gonna think, okay, from now on, I don't know anything. I don't know this. They're gonna look down on me. That's, as you said, that's the perception you have in your head.
It's all. I think he put it right. When you look into social media, people posting, they're traveling the world, they're, seeing stars and mountains and, traveling, hitchhiking, this perfect world, smiling 24/7. Have you ever seen a post on Instagram? I cried today. Actually, I have, to be honest.
I've actually seen that several times.
I've actually seen that. But the thing is, it's when you look at those, you're like, stuff, man. Why are you posting this stuff?
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
It's
my view towards it is like, stuff, man. Why are you posting yourself crying? Man? I don't care.
Like, it's not even bad, that. Like, there's a difference between asking for help and publicizing that whole situation.
Yeah,
obviously, is
that
fair
seems
enough.
like you're looking for attention.
Yeah.
Like, fair enough. The whole world won't need to know it, but the people around you, people that can actually help, is when you would actually reach out and oppose to it. Because our Instagram and our Facebook, it's full of strangers. We have no clue who's on our Instagram. We have people we've never met, people we haven't conversed to actually. And we're all in love with that double tap, that like, how many likes we can get, how much publicity.
That's all there, right? Sorry for cutting in.
And no, that's all there. And we sit there and people post up and say, okay, look, I'm crying. Yeah, that's obviously.
Sometimes you feel like those people are looking for attention, right? A lot of people that post a lot, I haven't posted on Facebook in a long time. Like in general, I feel like a lot of people, when they're posting a lot of things on Instagram, on Facebook, some people do it for the right reason, I guess, to just show their family and friends that, you know, this is how life is. This is posting good stuff, I guess, you know, happy stuff. Some people do it for the sake of attention, to be approved of something.
The validation,
you know, the validation that I'm in, you know, some other place, everyone else should like it. So some people look for validation, but I think, you know, when I think social media has played a big role in why we close ourselves. We want to look perfect, but the reality is, you know, I think the best way to view it is, if I'm listening to a sheikh, if I'm listening to a, you know, pastor, if I'm listening to a Buddhist, whoever it is, these people are speaking wisdom, wise words. So there's 5% battery, man, you're going to end up quick. But, you know, whenever we listen to these people, we feel like they're very wise. But I think the thing that we need to also realize is that they've gone through their fair share of battles. They probably still are going through their fair share of battles. We need to understand that, you know, we're on the same level plane as them. They're on the same level plane as me. They have things that they know of, and I have things that I know of. They probably can help me with my question and answers, and I can probably help them some way, probably. But to never look down on ourselves with our problems, right? But anyways, I think we should wrap it up so the battery doesn't run out, and you know, cut it halfway. Last time we had a few problems. The mic messed up, the camera fell down. But thanks, Hasnan, for coming to the podcast. You're surely going to be back again sometime.
Yeah, of course. No.
Inshallah, you know, you're going to be back, and we're going to have another conversation, probably on the beef that we had and why we had it, you know, those cultural differences and the, you know, the fun times that we had, you know.
How to resolve beef.
How to resolve.
This is it. This is us resolving beef. This is it. This is the first time we've talked since then.
No, we squashed it very quickly.
Very quickly, it was all over we were done. That was all middle school.
I hate you.
Practically right.
But anyways, thank you guys for joining in. Hope you guys liked this week's episode. Be sure to tune in next time. We'll have another guest on, inshallah, which just means, if God wills, if people wanted to know. But yeah, thanks. See you guys next time. Bye-bye.